Ladies and gentlemen, welcome in. That's Nick. I'm Theo. This is the podcast, the Drafted Up Podcast. Today we continue our divisional breakdowns as we dive into the AFC South division. Follow us over on Twitter, DraftedUp_pod. You know the deal by now. Like, rate, subscribe, review on all the platforms, whichever ones you listen to. And, tell a friend, tell a family member. How you doing, Nick?
I'm doing great.
Great.
Can't complain.
Oh, I can complain.
Who's listening?
I mean, the 6 people that listen to the podcast are listening.
That's true.
Yeah.
That is true. Don't come on here complaining, though.
Yeah, no. News related, the Vikings are in a funk. Yeah, JJ McCarthy.
Yeah, I'd
for the
say
season. Jordan Addison got carted off today, but it looks like he's going to be okay as of this recording, which is Wednesday. It is Wednesday. Yeah, it's Wednesday, my dudes. But the Vikings, the vibes are bad right now in Minnesota. We'll get to them in their division, but I was already going in with low expectations for this team, and they just continue to get lower because it's a shame. JJ McCarthy looked great on Saturday, like way better than I thought he was going to do. Like, he threw an interception his first drive. I'm like, oh man, Nick's in his glory. And then he turned it around and was just, it didn't shake him. And all the quarterback rookie-wise looked good. Drake May excluding him. He only played 4 snaps. But Bo Nix looked great. Caleb Williams looked great. Joe Milton looked great. Yeah. Jaden Daniels was who I was going for there. The Jays mixed me up. Jaden Daniels was great. Michael Penix also looked awesome. Like, the rookie quarterbacks, it was incredible to see, which is great because this rookie draft class was so highly touted. And then, our highly touted rookie receivers did diddly squat in preseason. Malik Neighbors, no targets. Marvin Harrison, no targets. Brian Thomas Jr. looked all right. Keon Coleman, no targets.
Yeah, they're saving the receivers.
Yeah,
they don't want to. They don't want us. They don't want to get overdone with it.
Yeah,
Spencer Rattler also looked pretty good down in New Orleans in his preseason game.
Yeah, I didn't see anything with him.
Now, I was gonna mention something before that, and I totally forgot. So, who knows?
That's going with the wind.
Who knows? Yep.
Who knows?
Indeed.
Yeah. So let's dive on in here. The AFC South.
JJ McCarthy. Shooting back to JJ McCarthy. His pick didn't even bother me. It happened on a 3rd and 9, and that was a passing down. So the defense knew he was going to pass. So it didn't really surprise me that he threw a pick. He's a rookie. He's going to make that mistake on a down that the defense is ready for it. And for him to bounce back like he did, had 2 touchdowns on the night. He looked a hell of a lot better than I ever thought he could.
Bomb touchdowns too. They were deep throws, which was a thing coming out. Like, McCarthy doesn't throw the ball deep, and both of them were over 35 yards. But the pick, it was him. Like, he tried forcing it in. Like, he put too much zip on the ball where he just needed to touch. He just needed to lob it up over the defender, and it would have been a golden sideline catch. But he was just like, I trust my arm, and tried to force it in there, bullet pass, and the corner got a good read and jumped it.
This is the time for him to try to figure that out, because he's just trying to see what windows he can get away with in the NFL. It's his first game in the NFL. NFL speed, it's way different than college. So he's just experimenting. And he looked great, but hey, man, we get a whole nother season and another offseason to talk about what JJ McCarthy's going to be. So it's just a whole nother mystery in his story.
But, with McCarthy, your big thing was that he should not play his rookie year. And essentially, he's not. He's going to redshirt this whole year. He's going to get a chance to sit back and just soak it in. And I think he'll be okay. Meniscus injuries are recoverable.
He'll be fine.
I don't think it's going to harm his game. And he gets to just soak in this quarterback room, which I'm still low on with Sam Darnold. But Kevin O'Connell's a great coach. He's just going to get all that information from him. And I think J.J. McCarthy will be the clear-cut starter next year. I don't even think it's going to be a quarterback competition.
I agree. I doubt Darnold's even with you guys come next season. So I think it's
1 year deal, likely not.
Yeah. So everything has fallen into the way it needed to for JJ, in my opinion. So he's going to end up being good, and everyone's going to be like, oh, you thought he was going to be bad, yada, yada, yada. But he fell into Minnesota, which I said he needed to. He fell into a great offensive mind coach, quarterback coach, which he has now. He's getting to sit his rookie season, which I said he needed to. So everything is going perfect for him.
Yeah,
it sucks that he had to do it with an injury, but I honestly think it's going to make him hungrier. He's going to make his drive harder, and he's going to come back swinging next season. I'm actually excited to watch J.J. McCarthy next season.
Yeah, he's carried himself well. He's had a great offseason. He's looked good in offseason programs. And if people do, want to give you a hard time, they can just rewind the tape. You've said it multiple times on the episode. There's like 3 spots you were fine with J.J. McCarthy going to, and Minnesota was one of them. And that's where he went. And he is going to get the sit this year, unfortunately, like you said, due to injury. But we'll see. I'm excited for McCarthy's future. I'm not excited for the Vikings this year, but, it is what it
sucks. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. But all right, let's dive into the actual division we're talking about here, the AFC South. We're going to start with last year's division winners, the Houston Texans, last season, finishing at 10-7. They are the betting odds favorite to win the division at plus 105, with a projected win total of 9.5. The Texans had a hell of an offseason. They've done everything to set up their young quarterback for success.
Oh yeah, we seen what Stroud did last season as just a rookie, and they've put more steps forward to doing what they needed to do. They're using his lack of contract, and they're going out and spending on positions that you really don't need to overspend on. They traded for Joe Mixon, so they added like 4 or 5 Pro Bowlers. They hooked him up for a turn. Yeah, man, I've loved the Texans offseason. I think they're doing it phenomenally.
And it is shown in the fantasy community as C.J. Stroud is currently going mid-4th round as the 4th quarterback, or 5th quarterback off the board. So, the fantasy community is buying in on him, and we're not per se. We have him as our quarterback 7, and it's. I imagine it's the same for you as it is me. It's an ADP thing. Like I just don't want to spend on C.J. Stroud in the 4th. When I can get a guy like Jordan Love who had similar stats. Like he took the leap we want CJ Stroud to take last season, and Jordan Love is getting, in my mind, drafted at a discount in like the 8th round. Plus, like Kyler Murray's there too in the 8th, and Joe Burrow and Dak Prescott. I'd rather get a running back or receiver in the 4th than use it on a quarterback who I'm hoping propels into a top 3 season.
Yeah, 100%. I get why Stroud is going that high. He was heavily sought after, like in trades last season, just because he was flashy with all the touchdowns. And the touchdowns are what's going to matter when it comes to Stroud season. And it's really hard to bank on a quarterback throwing for like 35 touchdowns. And that's what's going to need to happen for him to hit that 5 position. Because ADP 5 that's a high price, man. Oh, yeah, no, he's not going to have the rushing touchdowns or the yards like Murray's going to have, and Murray's going rounds after. If you would bump Stroud back to where everyone else is going round-wise, I'd be perfectly fine. I'd happily take Stroud.
Yeah, if I can get C.J. Stroud where I'm getting Dak Prescott in the 7th round, I'm way more in.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, well, it also doesn't help that I'm really in on like Dak and Murray and Jordan Love. The Packers have done their offense is very similar to the Texans. They went out and they got Josh Jacobs.
Yep.
So I don't know why there's such a big difference between Stroud and Love. I know we keep bringing up those 2 names, but they're very similar.
Similar style players, similar finishes last year, and like a similar situation, young teams on the rise. But CJ Stroud is the sexier one of the crew. So he is going at, like we said, quarterback 5 at 407 on Sleeper. Nick and I both, Nick has him at 6. I have him at 7 on my list, which he could easily finish that and it'll be a successful season. But like if you draft him where he's going currently, you don't want a QB 6 or 7 finish. You want a top 4 finish from that guy.
Yeah, there's a chance that a lot of people look at Stroud this year as just like he kind of failed. Even if he doesn't, just based off his ADP. And I would hate to see people like, Stroud's not that good just because he's not producing fantasy-wise, because he's amazing, dude.
Big discount next year, though, hopefully.
100%, yeah.
Yeah, because the fantasy community is fickle.
100%. One bad season, Justin Herbert, and it's just falling.
Trevor Lawrence,
Trevor Lawrence, who we're going to...
Next.
Yeah, for sure. It's very interesting that Stroud is so sought after compared to Jordan Love. just based on gloves with the Packers.
I think because he does media. Like, he's got the little podcast thing with Micah Parsons, and that's fun. Like, their clips online are hilarious. And, like, I just think it's because CJ Stroud's becoming this, like, media darling person. Like, he does interviews. He has the podcast. Like I said, like, he's just super likable. Whereas, like, Jordan Love's more low-key, just kind of is just the Green Bay Packers quarterback, and that's his hype. But, like, Stroud's doing, like, all this on top of the great offseason the Houston Texans had.
Yeah. And I'm not trying to compare Love to Aaron Rodgers, but Aaron Rodgers was always like quarterback 2 or 3 when he was in his prime. And I don't think Jordan Love has hit his prime yet. So I'm pretty sure it's going to happen one of these seasons, and he's going to finish QB 3, 4.
I think
he's going crazy late in my eyes.
A year from now, we can look at it and be like, it's Jordan Love's the one we should have elevated, and CJ Stroud should have been going where Jordan Love was going. And then next year is when CJ Stroud, we should be having this talk. Like, the fantasy community always wants to be, on it the year it happens. And it's usually the year after, which we'll also get into with another quarterback in this division, and Anthony Richardson. Let's talk about the Texans' run game. You mentioned Joe Mixon. They traded for him. Dameon Pierce was horrid last year. Like, he had a nice rookie season, like 1,300 yards rushing. We're like, whoa, look at this guy. Like, and it lined up for him. Like, you kind of knew it was going to happen. Like, he was the only real player on the depth chart then. And then last season, they brought in Devin Singletary, and like the vibes were pretty bad on Dameon Pierce. And then he had a killer preseason, and it did not carry over into the regular season. Nope. Devin Singletary ultimately took over due to injury, and now Dameon Pierce is nearly irrelevant. I have him as my RB60. Like, he's not even worth taking a look at. Whereas Joe Mixon, we have him as our consensus RB16. He's currently on sleeper, going in the beginning of the 5th round. Texans 22nd ranked rush team last year, so like they're going to want to improve that, and that's just going to help CJ Stroud more if they have a strong running attack. And Joe Mixon's always been a reliable back.
Oh yeah, if Joe Mixon has volume, like the volume he can get in Cincinnati and Houston, he's going to be fine. He always finishes as like a top. Maybe 1 RB, to be honest. I'm pretty sure he's pretty close every year.
He's usually top 12. He's the least sexiest RB1.
I get why he's not being drafted as an RB1 because he's Joe Mixon. But in Houston's offense, I think he's going to produce. I'm not worried about. There are a couple of reports that Pierce is going to they're going to try to use Pierce a little bit more with Mixon. They're going to try to use him, but he's going to not work. So it doesn't really affect me too much. So I'm in on Mixon. His ADP's a little bit high for me, but I'm fine pulling the trigger because if you need an RB2 like solidly, he's gonna be your perfect guy.
Yeah, my beef with Mixon is, like I said in our running back episode, like there's a lot of players in this offense that are gonna demand the ball or need the ball. So it's like trying to figure out, like, reading this offense is tough. And the Mixon, like, as of last week, he still hadn't practiced at all the whole training camp. So, like, that's concerning.
I get it.
That, like, if this guy's not practicing at all going into the season, like, I think it was a hamstring, and those things flare up all the time. So, like, that's my worry with Mixon. Like, I'm out at, like, we have him in our consensus running back 16. I think I have him at, like, RB 19. But like, and I would take the shot. Like, if I was desperate for a running back, I would be fine with Joe Mixon.
He's just super safe. But Houston's going to be winning a lot of games, so they're not going to be able to pass too late when they're up. They're going to just have to run the ball at some point, and it's going to go to Joe Mixon. They're not going to be playing from behind too often in Houston. I don't think this coming season. It's going to happen, obviously. But a lot of their games come the 4th quarter, they're just going to be trying to run the clock out.
No, Joe Mixon did return to practice 3 days ago for the first time in 2 weeks. It was a lower body injury, so okay,
he'll be fine.
I'm not crazy. Like I said, Joe Mixon isn't a guy you're going to be excited to take or be happy or take pleasure in. But like, chances are, he's not going to fall lower than where you draft him, but like I think he also lacks a ceiling. But you'll be content. Like, you're not going to be like,
you're not going to like it on draft day.
Bad pick.
You're not going to like it on draft day, but I can guarantee at the end of the season you're going to like the pick.
Yeah. Let's talk about the flashy guys, though. The flashy guys, the pass catchers here. Nico Collins, Steph Diggs, Tank Dell, Dalton Schultz. maybe even Noah Brown. He was involved a little bit last year. Like, if one of those three guys go down, Noah Brown's a good, waiver wire grab, because last season when Tank Dell went down, Noah Brown came in and had like 3 straight wide receiver 1 finishes.
100%, but you're just relying on injury. He's just a real deep guy. But 100%. But if one of those guys definitely gets hurt, but
Texans 5th ranked,
happen probably, but
5th ranked passing. Nico Collins currently going at the 306 in sleeper, same as Steph Diggs. Like, they're going right near each other. Tank Dell's going at the 506. We, as a consensus, have Nico at wide receiver 11. And Diggs we have at wide receiver 36, and Tank Dell we have as wide receiver 27. So we're in the same boat. Dalton Schultz is our tight end 16. He's going at the 902, but we'll just talk him real quick. I don't think he's fantasy relevant this year. I think he'll be a spot start if you don't have a solid tight end. Like, if you have to play the waiver wire every week at tight end, Dalton Schultz might be a guy worth snagging for a week. I think he's going to be real touchdown dependent, and I just don't see a lot of volume going his way as the 4th or 5th option in this offense.
Yeah, he's going, I think, before like Pat Freiermuth and Dallas Goedert and stuff. And I'm not huge on Dallas Goedert, but I would take Dallas Goedert over Dalton Schultz. I would take Freiermuth over Dalton Schultz. He's just not gonna. He's gonna have weeks where he's gonna have fine performances, like 10 to 12 points. But he's just not a guy I'm gonna be really targeting.
Yeah, he's a streamer at the tight end, but it's the receiver. So we have Tank Dell over Steph Diggs, which consensus is not the case. Diggs is going well ahead. Steph Diggs is really hard to determine in this offense. Like, last season in Buffalo, he started strong, and then when they switched coordinators, Steph Diggs was sort of phased out of this offense, and then they traded him. So did Buffalo know that Steph Diggs is washed, and now Houston's taking the shot on him, or does Steph Diggs still have like fantasy relevance in the tank where he can be a low-end wide receiver 1, high-end wide receiver 2 in fantasy?
I don't think he's washed.
He's like going as wide receiver 15 or 16 currently,
which is crazy. I think that's entirely too high. But I don't think he's washed per se. I think he's more so just a problem, a distraction. He seems to get ran out of locker rooms at some point. It happened kind of in Minnesota and happened in Buffalo. I think Houston's going to do this right, and they're going to keep him for 1 year and then just kind of let him go. So I don't see him being a huge distraction in the locker room. But I think that Tank Dell is a way more viable option. I think that him and Stroud have this crazy connection. They have it on and off field, and I think Tank Dell is going to really, really step up this year. I've been a huge Tank Dell supporter before the NFL. I don't see a reason why he's not going to outperform Steph Diggs, though.
Yeah. The ADP has fallen a bit on Diggs. He's now going as the wide receiver 22, which still is too rich for me when Tank Dell's going at 26. Nico's going at 14. On like a points per game basis last year, Tank Dell was neck and neck with Nico Collins, and Nico Collins seems to be the front runner here. Like, everybody, he got paid in the offseason, and he's the one who's getting the benefits of like being the first draft. And I absolutely would draft Nico Collins over any of these guys. Like, I think Nico Collins could finish as wide receiver 1 this year. Like, I just think his ceiling's that big. I don't see that with Tank Dell and I don't see it at all with Steph Diggs. I think Tank Dell at best is a low-end wide receiver 1, but I think he ultimately, like, he's probably like a wide receiver 15th overall is probably where his ceiling is.
With all the options in the offense, I think Nico has the highest ceiling just based off touchdowns, but per game average, I think Tank Dell's gonna be right there with him, just based off like big playability. He's gonna have a lot of open targets just based off who's in the offense. You can't cover Diggs, Collins, and then Tank Dell has this crazy ability just to separate and get open. It doesn't matter who's covering him, so he's gonna really separate. But I think Nico's gonna be the touchdown guy whenever they're in the red zone. So I think Nico's gonna have a really Mike Evans-esque year where he's gonna have up to 13 touchdowns, dude. Like, his touchdown ceiling is crazy high this year.
Yeah. And like Tank Dell, you think he'd be the slot guy here, but he's probably going to be lining up on the outside.
Yeah.
I think Diggs is going to be the slot dude here. Like Tank Dell, he's just really good at getting open, a really clean route runner, especially for how young he is. Like it is an exciting team, and if you want to call your shot on Steph Diggs, like if you think Steph Diggs is going to be the guy on the offense, have at it. Like he has that alpha dog mentality. I'd rather call my shot on Nico or Tank Dell and be wrong than be right on Steph Diggs.
If all three of those guys stay healthy, they'll all three have 1,000 yards. Steph Diggs in the slot is extremely terrifying. He's shifty. He knows what to do to get open. He's just like Tank Dell, but he's going to have a really good season if he's able to play out of the slot the whole year.
Yeah, Steph Diggs could easily lead this team in receptions and have like a 100 catch season and like 970 yards.
Yeah, I agree. I think he's gonna have like 112 catches and like 1,000 yards. His yards per catch is gonna be very low, I think.
Yeah, we'll see. Which one would you take? You have to take one of them in the draft. Like you're guaranteed one of the Texans. Is that ADP based, or is that because you think Tank Dell is that dude?
A little bit of both.
A little bit of both. Okay.
I love the 100%. I get it. I like the ADP of Tank, but I think that he has like the big playability to like win you a championship. Like he can drop 50 points in a week. He has 2 touchdowns, 150 yards ability any day of the week.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I mean, Nico Collins is also a rare case of a guy who was incredibly, he didn't really perform at all his first 2 years, and then it just boomed last year. So like, I would get being wary, like, oh, this 1 year just kind of out of the blue, like, because those happen. But I think Nico has like insane, like, I think it's just like he was just a slow start. I think Nico Collins is going to be a top 12 wide receiver in fantasy football for the next 7 years. However long I think if you can get Nico Collins in Dynasty, go out and get him.
Yeah, I agree. As long as he's with Houston and Stroud's there, which they're both locked up for the next foreseeable future, Nico's going to be a relevant fantasy option for sure.
Yeah. So my bold prediction on the Texans is that despite them having an incredibly successful season, there's going to be too many mouths to feed, and no one performs better than their current average draft position.
I haven't had a chance to do bold predictions, but I'll go the opposite. I'll say all 3 receivers outperform their ADP.
That would be, and if that happens, CJ Stroud's a top 3 quarterback.
He's going to finish top 5. I agree, but I don't want to take him at his ADP. I'm not willing to take that risk.
All right, let's move on to second place. That was last season. That was the Jacksonville Jaguars. They finished at 9-8. Currently, the betting odds favorite to finish in second again at plus 275 over on DraftKings. Projected win total is 8.5. Trevor Lawrence, quarterback. He's our QB 13. He's going in the 12th round right now. So real discount compared to last year where Trevor Lawrence was the queen of the ball, the belle of the ball.
Oh, yeah.
And everyone wanted Trevor Lawrence, and it did not work out last year. And now no one wants Trevor Lawrence. He's being drafted as a quarterback 2. We're a little higher. We almost have him as a quarterback 1. I think that Trevor Lawrence could have a real good bounce back here. I think he's a good value. If you're old school like me and you don't want to draft a quarterback early, Trevor Lawrence is good value in the 12th round in my eyes.
As much as I want to sit here and badmouth Trevor Lawrence for losing multiple ESPN bets that I placed on Trevor Lawrence to make last year and the Jaguars, this team did me dirty, dude. Like extremely dirty last year. I kind of like them though, dude. I kind of like the Jags, dude. I don't know what to say.
History does show that Doug Peterson teams do get worse though every year. So we'll see how that goes.
Feels a little bit different this time around, baby boy.
There's no hype on Jacksonville, so like, and I said it like you last year were in on the Jags, like you were like, I think they can win the AFC. I think they can go to the AFC Championship game with ease. And I'm just like, I don't know, dude. I don't know if they're gonna make the playoffs. Like we were both opposite ends, especially for some reason. Like you still feel like you're there. Like the Jags.
Well, the problem was like Well, their division's dog shit, so I'm like, that's free. That's 6
true.
free
No
wins.
No one expected Houston to take the lead they took. Even
so
Indy.
I'm like, that's a free 6 wins. It is what it is. I bet them to win the AFC. I bet them to win the South, the AFC Championship. I put money on Lawrence to win MVP. I put so much money on the Jags last year.
Whoa! Breaking news.
Didn't pay off. Breaking news.
The New England Patriots traded Matthew Judon to the Atlanta Falcons for a 3rd-round draft pick.
Atlanta getting them cheap. That's a good pick.
Atlanta could have just drafted a pass rusher at 9. They took Michael.
They could have.
Yeah, Trevor Lawrence though. Yeah, I love him as ADP. It's a free pick, and if it doesn't work, okay, cool. Chances are he's your quarterback too if you do take him, or if you're punting the position and kind of just going streamer. He's a good start off. Like, he's got a pedigree, and if it sounds okay, cool. I wasted a 12th-round pick on this guy.
Yeah, if you want to wait a little bit and you end up with like Jaden Daniels, and you don't really trust Jaden Daniels, a couple rounds
away,
later,
Trevor Lawrence,
yeah, he's right there. Yeah, but he's got 2 good deep threats. Like, Gabe Davis he's a really good deep threat. He gets shit on a lot, but that's the territory of being that kind of deep threat. Is you're gonna have games with 0 catches,
you're gonna be all over the place.
Yeah, and that's what you get with Gabe Davis. And he's not a good fantasy option, but he's a good real life football player.
Yeah.
And you draft Brian Thomas Jr., you have Christian Kirk, you have the best reception tight end in football, Evan Ingram. Trevor Lawrence has a lot of passing options around him, dude.
You have a borderline elite running back too, and Travis Etienne Jr.
Etienne in the backfield has great hands, for sure.
So 24th ranked rushing attack last year, where the Jaguars will transition there to Etienne. But he started off really strong last year and then kind of just phased out at the end, whether that be wear and tear or just whatever it was. Jacksonville's always the last 2 years, we want to lighten Etienne's workload. Like, we want to get Tank Bigsby involved. And then they try to get Tank Bigsby involved, and Tank Bigsby literally fumbles the opportunity. And they're just like, oh, I guess we're giving Travis Etienne 250 plus touches again.
And it's going to happen again.
Like, I hate to admit it, because like I liked Tank Bigsby's college tape. That dude's cheeks. That dude shouldn't even be eating into any of Etienne's work. I'd rather Dearness Johnson be the guy they're giving the secondary workload to than Travis Etienne or than Tank Bigsby.
100%. I've seen Dearness Johnson in Cleveland, correct, where he looked decent.
Yeah. Anytime he got the spot start in Cleveland, he always looked good.
I've never seen Tank Bigsby look decent, so I don't know how. I guess not my eyes. But he's slow, clunky, he's got brick hands, and that's not a trait you want from any type of running back. All 3 of those.
He somehow has the slipperiest brick hands, though, because everything falls out of them.
No, they're actual bricks, because he can't grip a ball. He just can't do it.
He just lubes up his brick hands with butter, and everything just... Yeah, but Etienne, we have him as our RB7. He's going at the 2-3 turn, so 2-10, 3-1, which I think is great value for Etienne. Incredible pass catcher. He's workhorse back. Like, don't let all the reports of they want to get Tank Bigsby involved shy you away from this guy. Like, chances are you did it last year, and we're probably like, man, I should have taken Travis Etienne. Like, he got the workload, and I just think that continues.
They can wish all they want about getting more production out of Tank Bigsby. When he steps on the field, it's not going to happen. So all those reports can just go to the side. Like, Etienne's the guy. He's going to be the guy. Him and Trevor Lawrence have been playing together since college. Rapport. So, so Tank Bigsby's just gone. He's a bum. Like, Etienne's the dude. Go draft him at his ADP. He's a great value, and he's going to produce. Like, you're going to love the pick.
Yeah, if you go, like, Tyreek Hill or CeeDee Lamb, and you can get Travis Etienne in the 2nd round, like, you have an RB1 and a wide receiver 1 on your team just right off the bat.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, and you're sitting pretty, dude, for sure.
Yeah. Let's talk about these receivers and tight end options. You mentioned all of them. Christian Kirk, you didn't mention. The wide receiver 1 on this team, because he's boring.
He's safe.
Like, Christian Kirk, Joe Mixon. Again, just like Joe Mixon, just like David Montgomery, these guys, you're not going to be excited about drafting them, but you're probably going to be content that they were on your team.
Take that back out of David Montgomery. Gibbs is super injury prone.
I agree.
David Montgomery's a sexy pick, baby boy.
But I don't think the majority of people consider David Montgomery the sexy pick. I think it's because his name's David Montgomery. If his name was Jahmyr Gibbs, and Jahmyr Gibbs' name was David Montgomery, I think we would have a reverse conversation.
Like,
I think we'd be like,
Gibbs,
David, I kind of like that Jahmyr Gibbs slower running. He's getting all the touchdowns there. And
he's getting all the
David
touchdowns.
Yeah.
The guy in front of him's already injury prone, and we're hearing about it already. If Gibbs ends up missing a couple games, dude, Montgomery's an RB1, dude, for sure.
But you could say the same thing about Jahmyr Gibbs. David Montgomery's good to miss a game or two, and Jahmyr Gibbs will be the workhorse back.
Gibbs is small and he's undersized, where Montgomery's beef boy, baby. So he can take the hits.
Yeah. Okay. Christian Kirk, the wide receiver one here, Gabe Davis, Brian Thomas Jr., Evan Ingram. I think it's safe to say offense. Gabe Davis is probably the only one you wouldn't even bother looking at in fantasy. He's currently going in the 13th round. I have him as my wide receiver 58. Brian Thomas Jr. is going at the beginning of the 9th. Yeah, 13th round.
On Sleeper?
Yeah.
No, I think you're lying to me. No, wow. Okay. Yeah, no, I'm the guy. I thought that blew my mind. I literally did a mock 45 minutes ago, and that's insane to me.
Brian Thomas Jr., he's going at the beginning of the 9th. Christian Kirk's going at the beginning of the 6th. Evan Ingram's going in the middle of the 6th. So Evan Ingram, to me, is the wide receiver one. Air quotes, not a receiver. He's the first option to pass to in this offense, in my eyes. Like, I think Evan Ingram's great value at tight end 7, especially in a PPR league. Like, the dude's good for 100 catches. That's 100 free points right there.
Mm-hmm.
He's just not going to score you touchdowns, and you're going to be okay with that.
Yeah, it's a Doug Peterson offense, and when he was in Philly, the offense ran through Zach Ertz, and he was a PPR machine. Mm-hmm. And you're looking at Evan Ingram the same way. I preached Zach Ertz every day fantasy-wise when Doug Peterson was in Philly. Evan Ingram's there. He literally – did he set the tight end catch record last year?
He was one away from it.
They're going for it, dude.
They tried. They tried to get him there.
They are going to try to get it.
22 targets that last game.
It would not surprise me.
Evan Ingram.
Evan Ingram breaks the tight end reception record for sure.
Yeah.
It would not surprise me, especially with the type of offense that they have with 2 of their 3 receivers are deep threats. So his only competition is Christian Kirk. That's the only other guy eating up those kind of receptions, and ETN out of the backfield. But
Christian Kirk, though, you're fine taking him. Like, he's a good flex. Like, you're going to be comfortable, even as a wide receiver too. Like, if he's your wide receiver too, you're going to be like, okay, that's a safe. I got a real good floor guy in Christian Kirk. You're good 12 to 15 points probably, or less. If you go half PPR, you're looking at like 12, which still you'll take that. Gabe Davis, if you really want to live life on the edge, start Gabe Davis in fantasy football. Draft him. You're gonna be miserable. You're gonna be like, I started Gabe Davis and he got 2 points, and then next week you're gonna put him on your bench and he got 50. That is a ride. Best ball, take Gabe Davis. If you're playing best ball, Gabe Davis is a superstar. That's the guy you want. And
Christian Kirk's first season in Jacksonville, he finished wide receiver 11 in PPR and half PPR. I remember that season. He was killer, dude.
Yeah, which is crazy because like everyone made fun of them for giving Christian, because they gave Christian Kirk like top 5 receiver money because
at that
nobody
time
wanted to play in Jacksonville.
Paid, dude,
and it was ridiculous. And he went out and had a great year. And then last year, a little banged up, but he was still solid in fantasy. Like, Christian Kirk's a guy, like, again, you're not going to love leaving with him on your roster on draft day, but like during the season, you're going to be like, I kind of glad I just have this guy who I can just put in the lineup and just like not worry about bombing out.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. He's super safe. He missed 6 games last year, something like that.
Yeah.
And he was close to 800 yards. The things that lacked were his touchdowns, but touchdowns kind of lacked all around in Jacksonville last year because it was a letdown in Jacksonville. Yeah. So if you think that they can have some type of swing in Jacksonville, they have a really good offense. I think they're going to produce here and there. I think Ingram's touchdowns are going to go up. Kirk's touchdowns are going to go up. Brian Thomas, he's going to have a couple good games here and there. I think he's going to have a very Gabe Davis type of year.
Yeah, that's the one guy we haven't talked about, Brian Thomas Jr.
Here we go. Set him up and I'll knock him down.
Yeah. Those who listen during the draft shows know how much I love Brian Thomas Jr. He was my wide receiver 4. Wide receiver 4. I forgot Roman Dunze exists because he's like the wide receiver 3 in Chicago. He was my wide receiver 4. I just love his game, and he hit a play in the preseason game with CJ Beathard, who criminally underthrew that ball, and Brian Thomas Jr. made a great adjustment, running a deep route adjusted and brought this ball in, which was great to see because he struggled in college with adjusting to the ball a bit. I think Brian Thomas Jr. is going to have 1,000 yards this year. I do.
That's a bold prediction.
That's not even my bold prediction. My bold prediction is the Jaguars have 3 1,000-yard receivers, whether it be Christian Kirk, Brian Thomas, and Evan Ingram, or Christian Kirk, Gabe Davis, and Brian Thomas, or Christian Kirk, Gabe Davis, and Evan Ingram, or Evan Ingram, Travis Etienne, and Christian Kirk. Who knows? I think they're going to have 3 1,000-yard receivers on this team. I think I think Brian Thomas Jr. is one of them. I also think Brian Thomas Jr. could hit double-digit touchdowns. Like, I think the ceiling is there for that this year. This year. I think he could be sort of like a Deshaun Jackson, but he's way bigger. Like 60 catches for 1,000 yards and 10 touchdowns. I think that is a realm of possibility. And in the 9th round, I'm taking that flyer. And I think Brian Thomas Jr. could be a league winner at the end of the year. I'm not getting off my soapbox with BTJ. I still think he is going to be a superstar. I have him as my wide receiver 35. And I think that's low for me.
I think Gabe Davis is going to take a lot of the touchdowns from him because they're very similar. They went out and paid Gabe Davis a decent amount.
But it's like a 1-year deal.
And that's going to happen this year. And that's why I'm worried about the touchdowns this year. If we're talking dynasty, I'm in more so on Brian Thomas Jr. going. But this year, I think Gabe Davis is going to be the touchdown guy. Evan Ingram and Christian Kirk are going to be the catch guys, where it just kind of leaves Brian Thomas here and there. That's kind of how I'm seeing it.
Okay. See, I think Brian Thomas Jr. to steal a word.
Brian Thomas is Jr.
Yeah. His kid's going to go out. The Jags already locked him in. But now, something you always like to say, talent wins out. Brian Thomas Jr. is the most talented guy in this receiving room. That's including Evan Ingram. And I think come the end of the year, this dude's their wide receiver 1.
Ooh, see, I like Christian Kirk. I also love Evan Ingram. We shall see, though, for sure.
Yeah. All right. The Indianapolis Colts finished 3rd last year, 9-8. Betting odds to finish 3rd again at plus 310 over at DraftKings. Projected win total of 8.5. So same as the Jaguars. Just like last year, they both finished 9-8. The Colts got the sexy guy, the other sexy quarterback, Anthony Richardson, who's currently being drafted as the quarterback 6 in the 5th round on Sleeper. He's going earlier in other platforms.
Yeah, I think I'm throwing up a bit in my mouth a little bit.
I love Anthony Richardson. I hate Anthony
Richardson.
I loved his tape. I love him as a prospect. I don't love him as the quarterback 6. We have him as our QB 9, and I think that's fair.
I'm fine with him there for sure. Fantasy does this weird thing where they make people think quarterbacks are good at quarterbacking, and he's not one of them, man.
And he doesn't have to be good at quarterbacking. He had a game last year where he had a 44% completion percentage, and he finished as the QB2.
Yeah, because he can run. We're gonna get into this Justin Fields thing again.
He breaks the thing.
I think
I think he's a better quarterback than Justin Fields. But
I actually disagree.
So I just think we're a year early on Anthony Richardson. So I think you're drafting him at his ceiling at QB6. I think he's gonna be a QB1, but you're not gonna be happy if he's quarterback 12 when you drafted him in the 5th round.
He's gonna be a QB1, yes.
Yeah.
I think it's based off his rushing ability.
It's another case of the fantasy community wants to hit on the guy. I just think we're going to be a year early. I think next year is the year we should be propelling Anthony Richardson into the fantasy stratosphere. I've seen people have him as their QB1, and it's blasphemy. It's insane.
I've heard multiple.
I love a call your shot,
today.
But you're wrong. You're wrong.
I heard multiple reports today talking about how he should be a 2nd round pick. Just based off of Justin Fields was going in the 2nd and 3rd with his rushing ability. Dude, I can't stand it. For him to get drafted over Kyler Murray is a legitimate war crime. Kyler Murray can throw an actual football.
Here's the thing. If Anthony Richardson was going where Kyler Murray was going, I'd be in. I would be drafting him everywhere. Because
I'm not
8th
taking
round
him
with
over
that
Murray.
upside? No, zero chance. I would take Kyler Murray in the 5th round over Anthony Richardson in the 5th.
100%.
I'm saying if Anthony Richardson was available in the 8th round, I'm in. I'm in on that ADP. Again, I think it's just another year where we are too early to try to project these guys. Like, I get it. He had two full games healthy, and he played 4, and he was a top quarterback in like most of those games except one. But like, I think we're just too ahead of it. I think next year we should be having the talk of Anthony Richardson as a top 5 fantasy quarterback, and then that'll relegate to his draft position. And we could be wrong. He could go out and do this right now. Like, he's got that kind of talent. I'm just not doing it in the 5th round.
Yeah, I could not take him in the 5th round. I don't think he throws a good football. He's having already some type of shoulder thing where he's throwing lefty at practice, and I have no idea what's going on.
I think they were goofing off. He played and he threw with his right hand, and
he can't even throw right-handed. So
he was fine.
He's just he throws the worst looking pass.
Cam Newton threw bad passes, and he was a good quarterback.
No. Cam Newton was a good quarterback. He could throw.
Here's the thing. Anthony Richardson played like 10 games at quarterback in his life.
Would you take him over Jaden Daniels? They're both essentially rookies.
Oh, okay. Are we including ADP in this? Because no, I'm really in on Jaden Daniels at his ADP compared. If they're both available at Jaden Daniels ADP, I'm taking Anthony Richardson.
I think when it comes down to our final rankings, I'm gonna have Jaden Daniels ranked around Anthony Rick, the same spot.
I mean, I had Jaden Daniels in my top 12, so I'm super in on Daniels.
Their rushing ability is almost the same. And Jaden Daniels can actually throw. Like, he throws a legitimately beautiful football. I don't know, dude. I think Jaden Daniels is going to be way better than Anthony
coaching.
Real life, the coaching. That is.
Like, look what Shane Steichen did with Jalen Hurts. He propelled him into the next level.
Washington has brought in an elite coaching staff this year.
I get that, but I like Shane Steichen as a head coach more than I like Dan Quinn and Cliff Kingsbury running things in Washington.
Oh, dude, Cliff Kingsbury's a great coordinator, dude.
Great coordinator. I get it, but look what Shane Steichen did with Jalen Hurts.
Yeah, I get that.
I think that's the pathway we're looking at with Anthony Richardson.
I don't think he can throw a ball like Hurts, though, dude. I don't think he can throw a ball like Hurts.
But he can run better than Hurts.
So 100%. But he can't throw like Lamar or Jaden Daniels.
Anthony Richardson could throw the ball for 3,700 yards. And that's what Hurts' first year breaking into when he was QB3, so it was 3rd year. We were a year off on Jalen Hurts. He was QB 19 when everybody, and then I think that's what we're going to be with Anthony Richardson. I think Anthony Richardson probably low quarterback 1, like quarterback 12, maybe right on the outside, like QB, anywhere between like QB 12 and QB 15. But I think next year we could be looking at a top 5 guy.
Justin Fields' career high in passing yards is 2582. Is that what this is? 2562. I think his ceiling's right around there, dude. It's like 3,000 yards, dude.
I like Anthony Richardson more than Justin Fields. And I love Justin Fields. We had that talk.
I do not. Yeah. Like, so, I would much rather have Justin Fields.
You're going to be forever out on Anthony Richardson then. Trade me Anthony Richardson in Dynasty then. You have him.
Do I have him?
You do. We'll work a deal. We'll work a deal.
Yours, brother boy. You have Jalen Hurts?
I have Jalen Hurts.
I love me some Jalen Hurts, baby boy.
Yeah, we'll work the deal. There we go. All right. Anthony Richardson, Nick's out. I'm out at ADP.
Yeah, I'm out.
I'm really in next year. But ADP, like if he was going lower, like I said, I would consider it. But
like, it kills me that he's gonna be a good fantasy player because he's not a good quarterback, and I'm gonna die on that hill. I will forever say that about Anthony Richardson. I watched him at Florida. He could not complete passes.
But if he wins games
last year.
But if he wins games, so if he puts up 3,500 yards and 20 touchdowns, 15 picks, but he has 1,000 rushing yards.
What's Lamar Jackson's career high in passing yards?
I don't know off the top of my head.
I'm getting. Yard wise, Lamar Jackson's career high is 36.75, and but that was last year, and before that it was 31. I think Anthony Richardson's high is 31. I don't think he can get higher than that.
Okay. We'll see.
And
we'll see. There's an extra
a great
game.
runner, but come on, Lamar is a different type, dude. For me to compare Anthony Richardson to Lamar is an actual sin in my books.
Oh, Lamar Jackson, super frustrating in fantasy sometimes, though.
And I think it's gonna be way worse with Anthony Richardson.
Yeah, we'll see. Let's talk about the guy who really matters in this offense.
Will Levis, Tennessee. We're switching teams,
and that's Jonathan Taylor.
Oh yeah, JT. I love that
10th
guy.
ranked rushing attack. Defenses are going to be watching Anthony Richardson. I think that's just going to open up things for Jonathan Taylor. The only thing I'm worried about is his touchdowns. We have him as our RB8. He's going at the 202. If you want to take Jonathan Taylor in the first round, I'm cool with that. And I'm usually historically out on Jonathan Taylor. Like, he's not a guy you usually want.
I'm so surprised you said that because I wouldn't even take Jonathan Taylor in the first. I love him in the early second.
Yeah. I just think, like, the rushing attack in Indianapolis is going to be dangerous.
Yeah, but that little gremlin is going to steal all of JT's touchdowns, dude, and it's going to make me hate him even more.
But JT has, breakaway potential, like big plays. He can do it. And, like, I don't think you're going to get a ton of big plays from this receiving crew.
Yeah, because they don't have a quarterback.
Okay, well, Anthony Richardson, he's elite Joe Milton, bro. He throws the ball 5 yards and it goes 70.
I love all of the receivers. I love Pittman. I love Josh Downs. I love Josh Downs, dude.
He's got a high ankle sprain. I'm kind of out on Josh Downs.
I'm not saying fantasy-wise I love him. I'm saying real life. Josh Downs, I love him as a ball player. And A.D. Mitchell, he was my wide receiver 4 last year, 4 or 5. Him and Coleman swapped a lot. I love the talent they've got in Anthony Richardson. I just don't think he can get them the ball. And it's going to frustrate me. But fantasy-wise, though, I'm out on all of the receivers.
Yeah. So Jonathan Taylor will end him there. My issue, like I said, I don't think he's going to get a ton of touchdowns. So, like, I don't think he can be the RB1. But I think he's an easy top 10 finish.
Did you take him over Kyron?
No.
See, and that's my problem because Kyron's not even going in the first, and
I would take Kyron in the first. I would take Kyron in the first.
Me too, 100%. But he's not going in the first.
Kyron Williams, I'm currently in the middle of restatting teams. He's my RB4.
That's a very smart take, dude.
I have him over Gibbs.
As you should. Gibbs with the injury stuff. Kyron Williams is probably my RB4.
I am in on Jonathan Taylor too. He's my RB7 right now. And I think he can finish anywhere from 6 to 10. I don't think he finishes outside that little block bearing injury.
Just off the quick top of my head, Gibbs is going to fall a little bit with the hamstring injury. I have him right there with Barkley and Kyron Williams as like 4 to 7. He's in that range of tier. I love Jonathan Taylor this year.
Wide receivers, they were the 20th ranked passing attack last year. You said you're out on all of them. Pittman is our wide receiver 24 currently. He's going at the beginning of the 4th. Josh Downs is my wide receiver 62. He's being drafted in the 12th. A.D. Mitchell's my wide receiver 69. He's being drafted in the 11th. And then there's Alec Pierce, who ran the most routes in football last year. And
not going to happen again.
He's irrelevant. He's starting though. He's just out there. He's just gonna be cardio king. If you're getting cardio points, draft Alec Pierce.
Did he start because Josh Downs didn't play? Because I know A.D. Mitchell played the slot.
No, A.D. Mitchell is 4th on the depth chart.
Was he? I heard he played 3.
Yeah. Well, that's because Downs didn't play. Their 3 receiver sets are usually Pittman and Pierce on the outside, Downs at the slot. So Downs is out.
That's going to change.
Played the slot.
Alec Pierce.
Alec Pierce is going to be on the field. He's just not zero relevance. But yeah, I don't like. I would take a shot on A.D. Mitchell or Josh Downs too. Like they're free picks, but I'm probably cutting them after a week or two. Yeah,
there's better people around their spots that I would rather.
Pittman's fine in PPR, but not in the 4th. Like if you can get him in the 5th or 6th, like sure you're getting a solid 100 catches probably from that guy, but touchdown production is probably not going more than 5. He's getting barely over 1,000 yards, and the tight end room's not even worth talking about. Kalen Granson and Jelani Woods, they're just all big dudes who just irrelevant.
Yeah, he's getting drafted around guys like Rashad White, Jalen Waddle, Cooper Kupp. I would take all 3 of those guys over Michael Pittman.
100%.
And with not even second guessing.
All right. Bold prediction for the Colts as we'll close them out. Anthony Richardson finishes with more rushing yards and rushing touchdowns than Jonathan Taylor.
Yeah, and that's a crime. Oh God, off the top of my head, I got nothing. Every single Colt is lower than their ADP except Jonathan Taylor, but maybe even him.
Oh, that'd be impressive though, because Jonathan Taylor's going the 2nd round.
I'm very out on the Colts.
All right, Tennessee.
I like the Colts as like a real life team. I think the Colts defense is going to really keep them in their coaching. But fantasy wise, I'm out.
I really like Shane Steichen as a head coach, and I think he'll eventually put this together. At least the rushing game. Maybe next year we'll see a uptick in passing. But anyway, Tennessee, they finished 6-11 last year. New head coach, former Bengals offensive coordinator Brian Callahan, is over here in Tennessee. Their betting odds at plus 1,000 on DraftKings. Last place, projected win total of 6.5. Will Levis is quarterback. He's got his own cologne now. Did you hear about that?
No.
It smells like coffee and mayonnaise.
No, it doesn't.
Yes,
I was going to make a joke about that. Fuck that guy, dude. Oh, my God.
QB 25.
Sure.
Ash has the name. She's behind me.
What?
Hey, what was Will Levis's...
Oh, give me 1 second. I got it.
Yeah, she got the name. She's the one who told me. But he's our quarterback 25. He's not being drafted.
She's like our Jamie from the Joe Rogan podcast. She's out here looking up stuff.
Yeah.
Google it, Jamie.
Yeah. Will Levis, like that dude, just hucket chucks it.
For a perfume de mayonnaise.
Yeah, perfume de mayonnaise.
Oh my God. What the fucking hell? That guy's what the... I want to be so in on Will Levis, and he makes it so hard, dude.
That dude is a character. I love Will Levis. That guy is fun. He's the perfect, like, I just want to watch him play football because he is just no regard for his body, and he's just not afraid to throw it. He doesn't care. I'm actually just going to throw my bold prediction out right now for Tennessee. Will Levis becomes a second player in NFL history to throw for 30 touchdowns and throw 30 interceptions, joining Jameis Winston.
I was gonna call him the white Jameis Winston, and that's a good bold. That's a good one. I like it.
White Jameis. I love it. Yeah. White Jameis. Will Levis over here. I'm going to start calling him that. White Jameis.
He's calling mayonnaise Jameis. Yeah. Oh my God, Will Levis, dude. Him coming out though, dude. I somehow got stuck being the Will Levis guy in our group because I had him ranked higher than everyone else. So by default, I've just like grown to love this guy. But man, he's not that good.
According to the website, the cologne features several fragrance notes: tart lemon, parsley, coffee undertones, musk, creamy vanilla, and of course, mayonnaise accord.
I don't even know what that is.
Yeah.
It was $8 a bottle.
$8 a bottle. I might buy some.
That's pretty cheap. Okay,
just for shits and giggles. I'm in.
Will Levis number 8, baby.
I'm actually low-key just like in on Tennessee, and it's probably because like all their players are dirt cheap.
Are you in on this offense, dude?
Tony Pollard, Tajay Spears. I want both of them. I want one of them, but at their ADPs, they're both in my eyes values. I have them both as RB2s in my top 24.
See, I think they're both gonna like finish slightly out of that because they're just gonna like eat at it. It's kind of like
too much of a timeshare.
Oh yeah, I think that gets a legitimate rotation, like where Pollard gets it 5 touches. Here comes Spears for 5.
Hey man, if Will Levis is throwing like 30 touchdowns and 30 interceptions, this offense is passing the ball a ton, and that's a lot of backfield work for one of those guys.
Like if it kills me that DeAndre Hopkins got hurt. If he didn't get hurt, I've always been on Hopkins. I think
that's the one guy I'm out on this offense.
Well, and he's hurt. I'm out on him too. He's missing like 4 to 6 weeks.
I was out on him before that though. He was the only one.
No way, dude. Do not disrespect DeAndre Hopkins.
I think he's done.
He almost had 1,000 yards last year.
That's last year. Receivers just kind of fall. I think that's gonna happen this year.
No way. DeAndre Hopkins too good.
Calvin Ridley in the 7th, wide receiver 30. Hell yeah.
See, I was like in on Calvin Ridley, but like. He's going around like I guess I don't know, dude. Like Raheem Mostert's going around him.
I'm low end.
Good God, no.
Brian Callahan loves that guy. Tyler Boyd is going to have a role in this offense, and if Hopkins is hurt and he can't stay healthy, I think he's worth just like a waiver wire watch. It would not surprise me if week 1 Tyler Boyd goes out and has 8 catches for 75 yards, and in a PPR, that's almost 16 points. And you're like,
nah, dude, we're talking like New England light here. We're talking like a really bad team.
I think you're disrespecting the Titans. I think they get the win total. No way, dude. Their projected win total 6.5. I think they're 6 to 8 wins.
I think at most it's like 6 to 7. So I think 6.5 is the perfect line for Vegas.
I
don't think
like
they push
Callahan
8
as a
wins.
coach.
I don't think they push 8.
J.C. Latham, Mauler.
Yeah, dog.
Will Levis,
I think
dog. There's dogs
not a
on
good
this
one,
team, dude.
Not a good dog though. He's like a bad dog. A dog that probably should be put down at the pound. He should just be taken downtown, put him down. He's a street dog. He's a dog. You don't want him. He's a bad dog.
I want Will Levis. I think Will Levis.
No, you don't. Stop it.
I think Will Levis is the perfect streaming quarterback. If you miss at quarterback, I think Will Levis is going to be a guy who's probably going to start for half the teams in your league.
Yeah, because he's going to have games where they're just down 50 points and they just need to pass. But that's not a good team. I'm back on. It's not a good team.
But they're going to be
Calvin Ridley's probably the best option.
Yeah.
I think the timeshare running back really takes me really out on both of them, to be honest. Tony Pollard was very frustrating last year, and I'm not about to get back in on that boat.
I am, and I lived through it.
That's
and
crazy. I'm still crazy. Didn't you learn last year?
No. I drafted him in the
Jacksonville
second.
Situation.
I drafted him in the second. I will draft him in the 7th.
See, I would personally rather Spears in like the 8th or 9th. He's going like a round or two later.
Yeah,
I think they're going to be. They're so equal. I think they're going to just eat each other's targets.
Any of them. I think they're both going to be fantasy relevant this year. I do.
I think they're nothing more than like flex plays. That's how I'm really looking at them.
Hey. I'm also I'm low key in on Chiga Conquo.
No, you say that every year, dude.
I do.
Every single year. You need to learn at some point.
Me and Robbie talked about it. We both.
No.
Tight ends. Tight ends are bad.
18 tight ends I'd take over that guy just loosely off the top of my head.
Well, we have him as our tight end 17 in our consensus. I would take.
Look at that. 18 was pretty close. Hey,
I'd take a flyer on him.
Is Taysom Hill on that list? Because I take him over, and Taysom Hill's going like
DeAndre Hopkins. Shoot, even I'm not in on Hopkins because he's going in the 8th currently.
Well, he's gonna fall because he's hurt.
Yeah, but he's gonna be ready week 1. So like, how much does he fall to the 9th? I'm still probably not in.
Is he gonna be ready week 1?
Yeah, most likely.
I'm back in, baby. I'm back in, baby. I'm back in, baby.
Snip, snap over on DeAndre Hopkins.
Hopkins, he's too good, dude. I'll go to bat for Hopkins any day of the week. But I'm in on Ridley. I guess he's fine. Like if I had to pick one guy,
you're in on the
guy.
Receiving crew. You're in. You're slowly in on the Titans.
I'm in on Hopkins every year. Calvin Ridley's fine at his ADP, and the running backs I don't want.
I want.
And you brought up Tyler Boyd for some crazy reason, which is insane to me.
Tyler Boyd will find a way in the lineups this year. He always does. Brian Callahan loves him. He's coming over. He's the familiar face in the offense. Cincinnati, Tyler Boyd was productive in Cincinnati under Brian Callahan. I'm just saying, it would not surprise me if Tyler Boyd, week 1, goes out, puts 7 for 85, and is a waiver wire pickup, and he's just a guy who, occasionally is a flex start because familiarity with his offense.
His ADP is almost worse than Odell Beckham, my guy.
Yeah. It's because his name's Tyler Boyd. He's boring. No one wants Tyler Boyd. I don't want Tyler Boyd. I don't want to say, but I'm just saying Tyler Boyd knows the system. He produced in the system. I'm just saying, he's a guy who's going to be in lineups at some point this year, just here and there, spot starting. Tyler Boyd, the new spot starter. He's the new Zay Jones. Spot starter, Tyler Boyd.
Yeah, and Zay Jones is bad, dude. If you want to compare it to Zay Jones, I'm fine with that. I'm fine with that comparison.
Tyler Boyd's way better than Zay Jones. But there was that year Zay Jones with the Jaguars where you were just constantly in and out of your lineup. All right. How's this division end up going?
Oh man, this division is something. How do you have it going? Let me hear yours. Why I kind of throw things together in my head.
Same as last year. Houston, Jacksonville, Indy, Tennessee.
Kind of want to switch Indy and Jacksonville. I think Indy's going to be... So I'd probably go Houston, Indy, Jacksonville, Tennessee. Tennessee way last. It's not even close in my eyes.
Way last.
The other 3 teams are going to compete. I think Indy and Jacksonville could push Houston this year.
I think so. I think Tennessee... I think Tennessee's going to be that bad team who's really competitive just throughout the year, but doesn't win many games. But I still think they're going to get 6 to 8 wins. I like the coaching.
6.
I like the coaching. I low-key like Will Levis a lot.
I want to like Will Levis. He makes it hard.
Yeah. Nah. Get that. I'm gonna try to get the Will Levis number 8 to be the podcast sponsor. If we ever get a sponsor, it's that.
He might be a local kid, right? He went to Penn State.
I don't know. Local as in like Pittsburgh, maybe. I don't know. All right, that's the podcast.
If I had to
AFC
guess,
South.
he's from West Virginia.
AFC South in the books. That leaves one more AFC division. That's the West. So we'll be talking about them maybe this week.
Massachusetts. Fuck that guy.
Oh. So we'll be looking for Kansas City, Denver, LA, and Vegas. So that one's kind of okay. We'll see. All right. AFC South, this was a good division. It seems every other in the AFC. Yeah. AFC North was good. AFC East, not so great.
That AFC South is going to be fine. There's a couple good teams in that division. I like. What are you talking about? Bo Nix, baby. Right. Bo Nix, baby.
God bless.
Did you mention him when you brought up rookie quarterbacks, you son of a bitch?
He was the second guy I brought up. Right after JJ. I brought him up before Caleb Williams. Rewind the tape.
I didn't hear you bring up Bo Nix. I thought you slandered my boy.
No.
Bo Nix, baby. I can't wait to talk about Denver.
There will be Bo Nix slander, and it's coming from me.
I'll fight you. I'll fight you through this iPad.
All right, guys.
Bo
Drafted
Nix,
Up
baby.
Podcast. You know the deal. Follow us over on Twitter, _pod. Like, rate, subscribe, review.
Tell a friend.
Yep. Apple Podcast. Tell your dog. Just put us on when you leave the house.
He can't subscribe.
Okay,
tell
but
people that can subscribe. Dogs don't have thumbs, TJ. They can't subscribe to the pod.
You can put it on for your dog. You leave the house, just throw it on YouTube and let the dog.
Oh, yeah, free views. Yeah, but
free views.
Tell your friends to subscribe, for sure.
Yeah, them too. To actual people. Tell actual people to subscribe, and then just background noise it for your pets when you go to work. Yeah. And then you can ask your cat for fantasy advice.
That's not going to work well. Probably as well as asking us, though. So.
Yeah, we like Will Levis.
No, you like Will Levis.
White Jameis, baby. All right. That's the podcast.
And
Drafted
the fucking
podcast. Bye, guys. Adios.
Bye-bye.